we see a vast, swirling expanse of purple mist. It weaves throughout trees, broken, rotted, and dead. Two individuals steadily make their way through it, bickering with each other. They both wear silver armor. There's a larger one and a scrawny one. The larger one says, "Why do we always get these menial tasks?" The scrawny one says, "What would you rather be doing? Taking the fight to the enemy? The Lorekeepers? No. The enlightened Lord of Obsetia and his 9 concubines. Of course, the bleeding Lorekeepers. I don't know. Don't fancy it myself. They say that Hexer name. Lifted into the air in the Battle of Kilgannon, a warrior with arms like trunks that can fly. No, thank you. Or think about that apostate who can twist your mind and make spiders crawl out of your waking eyes. Horse shit. It ain't. There's that Kilgannon too. Wrought fire and explosions all throughout the battle. The dead rained from the sky. Who told you that? Gorid? Gorid died. Yes, he died from his wounds, from an explosion. Listen. It's like Lord Equinox said. The more we believe in these wives' tales, the more powerful they become. You're right. Still, hard to ignore heroes that ride on the back of a dragon collecting taxes. Will you be quiet? The two bickering Silver Guard freeze as they spot something amidst the purple mist. A huge set of armor, as broad as 2 men and 8 foot tall. A huge dome-like helmet with a slit across it for a visor. There is a gust of wind that builds and builds, and it becomes a gale. The purple mist swirls into macabre, mysterious shapes, twisting like a cyclone, whirling about this huge set of armor, entering it through the visor. Suddenly the purple mist has all but vanished into this suit of metal. The two Silver Guard look on, wide-eyed and horrified. A voice comes from this huge set of armor. "Gentlemen, you are late. Has the perimeter been established?" The large Silver Guard stutters and says, It has." The huge being takes a look around the surroundings, this dead forest, and kind of gives a nod. "Then the Nightmare Shrine is under watch." The scrawny Silver Guard says, "Lord Equinox demands to be informed if anyone approaches." The huge being looks down and says, "Inform Lord Equinox if the Lorekeepers approach. I will be waiting." Previously on the Lorekeepers.
Card Kilgannon's eyes flicker under his eyelids. He's having a dream. In it, he walks into a tavern near the center of Kilgannon. A tavern that's whole, not burned to its foundation, like something out of the past. In the distance in the tavern, he sees a table filled with faceless people. All faceless but one. He sees Lyra, his old friend, or something. She motions him over. And he wakes up to a crisp, crisp morning, the sun just beginning to burst over the horizon. And he swears just for a moment he can still see her in the distance. And while he's remembering, he reaches over to his pack, careful not to awaken Azarax or disturb him in his meditations. Reaches into a pack and pulls something out. Some small rectangular object that he holds in his hands. And he's back there in Kilgannon once again, and there's Lyra saying, "Come back alive." And she reaches in, gives him a kiss, and slides something into his coat. This item. This thing he'd forgotten about. And he opens it up, this journal, this book of pages. Blank pages. Where to start? His pencil hits the paper. The truth. The Lorekeepers created Equinox to destroy the God King. We saw it all through the lore gate in the Methanium. Weaver showed us. Damadran. He saw Equinox as a weapon. Weaver saw him as a potential hero. Scratches of blackened stone chip upon the parchment with each line. Cursive and beautiful. Each eloquent, perfect letter forming a perfect word in its complete sentence. After the Battle of Kilgannon, we set out to find ourselves the real hero. The potential heir to the kingdom of Farwyde. This is our goal. Period. He pauses and ponders, fighting the nightmarish versions of the Lorekeepers in the Methanium. And when he goes to add this bit, this little addendum to the journal, he looks down and he sees the pages actually still blank. He's never been able to write or read. I guess the apple falls farther from the tree in some places than others. He looks up at the rising sun, tries his best to imagine Lyra once again. Can't. And so he lays back down and looks at the morning sky.
Take a point of inspiration, Barker. Azarax, you jolt awake from your meditations. Perhaps some visceral dream has awoken you. Perhaps it's just your senses kicking in. A book falls from your lap. Clatters onto the floor. This is the morning after you had experienced the legend that was the creation of Equinox. You've all had some time to rest, to process. How have you spent that time, Azarax, as you awaken and see the sun through these vast windows before you?
I imagine that Azarax's meditation is troubled, where oftentimes it's a respite from the chaos of the world, and he seeks a void, an empty blackness, dark like the Underdark itself, soothing, but not tonight. Tonight, the phantasmagoria of images that he witnessed, that all of the Lorekeepers witnessed in the Methanium, through the lore gate, in the telling itself, the story of how Equinox was born, no, forged. These images just keep playing over and over and over in his head. He shakes awake, realizing he's not going to get any more rest, and his hand goes down to the book that fell from his lap. Rubbing his finger across the silver letters on the binding, it says, Arcane Rituals of the Third Age. He shrugs and tosses it over into a pile of books, realizing that that's not going to hold the secret as to how Equinox was forged, how he was made. And I think at this point, Azarax would get up and, I don't know, in the Methanium, if there is a kitchen at all, somewhere to eat food. And I don't know if any of the other Lorekeepers, or perhaps Weaver, would be up at this hour as he passes them on his way there.
Yeah, your stomach rumbles. You realize you haven't actually eaten anything since before you experienced what you did through the lore gate. And it's as you're rising, you look through these windows and you can see there is a balcony. It opens up right in the gap between where two of these skeletal hydronecks cross as they go round the main tower of the Methanium. And you can see Weaver is standing upon the balcony watching the sunrise.
Azarax will approach, sliding his foot on the sandy stone to belie his presence. He doesn't want to sneak up on Weaver. It's been a tough night for everybody. He'll stand there wordlessly, looking off into the distance before speaking. And when enough time has passed, he will say, well, we learned a lot. And I'm sure the others will have words with you about it. But for now, while I don't condone what was done, I understand that it probably was from a place of goodness that you were attempting it.
Weaver is still watching the sunrise, and he sort of shifts his head ever so slightly when he realizes you're there. And he gives a nod and he says, I find every sunrise brings with it a revelation. Every warning, new thoughts, new doubts. I think of all the times I could have told you. But I didn't. Again, I am sorry. I had my reasons.
Up a hand. I mean, what would you have told us? We want you to reach into this ancient power and take up the moniker of my former companions. Oh, by the way, we made a horrible monster that threatens to subjugate the land. I'm not saying what you did was right, but I can understand not knowing how to say it. But it has been said, and we know And it's important that we know. But we do not know enough. So perhaps you can point me in the right direction. I've been poring over tomes trying to figure out how you did what you did. This place is so big. Is there perhaps a study where Damodran did his research, or an inner sanctum of the Chaos Witch or something? A place where I can learn about this ritual?
I will be able to tell you, Azarax. Use this time wisely. Read what you wish. And when everyone is gathered, I will explain and advise on the next course of action, should you wish to take it. Marius, you have awoken. How have you slept?
Not well. Barely at all. Extremely worked up and frustrated and furious. Incandescent with rage. Just struggling to process a lot of things. Marius fell back on the old rituals that he would have done as a witch hunter. The maintenance of equipment was tantamount to that. Checks every day, rigorous, and any blemish on a metallic surface would result in corporal punishment. And so he would have, that night, as the others kind of collapsed into bed, he would have spent hours scouring his armor and checking that everything is as it's supposed to be. And usually in the olden days, he would pray to the God King for guidance and for peace and for purpose, but he doesn't do that anymore. And he doesn't really know how to pray to the gods that he worships now. Not the same, not formulaic, it's not dogmatic, it's more personal. And so he struggled a little to do that. He didn't feel anything in return. When you pray to the God King, there is a response of some kind. It's clear that something is listening. And that used to give Marius peace, although now he knows that that's probably more menacing than it seemed. But there's no response from these old gods that he prays to now. And he really struggled to get to sleep.
And taxes. Have you slept at all? What have you been doing in the hours that have gone by since we were last gathered?
Since the ordeal of our last venture, taxes. The thing is, taxes witness things in that memory, in that telling, that he can't forget, but he can't make sense of either. Right? His vision is almost clouded, and as he tries to sleep, it's like his very first day of having no memory, like waking up and feeling that groggy sense of disorientation kind of washes over him again. And in the middle of the night, he's a dragonborn. He's a lizard, but he doesn't, and so he's not supposed to sweat. But I imagine that he's warm-blooded in comparison to cold-blooded, like a lizard. And so there's a part of me that wants to believe that when they're in high-stress situations, that the sweat of a dragonborn, if a dragonborn could sweat would be almost like kerosene, right? And you would smell that like sulfuric kerosene smell coming from his room in the middle of the night as he's laying in bed. And he's trying so hard to get to sleep, but every time he closes his eyes, he sees like violent, volatile glimpses of memories, things that he can't quite make out, things that just don't make sense to him. But he sees things like Raylan's face and watches the day that Raylan got sucked into the telling. He sees the sands, and he sees the mountain, and he sees that silver dragon skull. And as he continues to try to piece together everything that happened, try to piece together that vision that he saw of himself, you hear in the other room claw marks against the wall, scrapes into the bed frame, when he wakes up, I imagine someone comes into his room. He doesn't leave the room. Someone has to come in to open the door. When you open the door, it's like chaos just ensued. There are deep claw marks on the stone. His bed is in tatters, and there looks like to be a pool of what looks like kerosene oil, like dripping from the bed. He looks like he barely got any sleep, but he gathers himself up. What do you want? And who would be like maybe coming into his room or greeting him, perhaps?
I think perhaps Azarax has been asked by Weaver to, he will speak to you when you're all assembled. Perhaps Azarax has gone round gathering people, perhaps, to meet with Weaver. So Azarax, I'd say, if you like, it could be you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I imagine the door creaks open and you hear... You see underneath the visor of Veritor, his nose is scrunched up, sniffing as if he smells something foul. Taxis.
No! You see he like flings like a hay straw pillow just against the wall, and he wakes to the sound of your voice. And it's like when you catch a friend waking up from a really bad dream. That's the sort of like drenched in the cold sweat sort of look he has on his face as he turns to face you now.
Azarax. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were there.
Taxes will see from the door frame a white top knot and then a silver visor peer around the corner. That's okay. No problem. How are you?
I had a hard night.
And he, as he stands up from the bed frame, I imagine there's like this moment of slight comic relief as he gets from the bed frame and the bed sort of falls to pieces.
Yeah. I didn't do very well. How about yourself?
Yeah, about the same.
You got, and he looks at you like, you got visions, things you can, make sense of.
You mean like dreams? I have dreams.
I mean, Yeah, but it's it feels too real, you know. It feels like I've done stuff, been places, and that telling is, I haven't been comfortable since. I'm sorry. Look, what are we doing?
Well, I was going to eat some food, but maybe you're starting to remember. I mean, think about it. You see a spark of an epiphany appear on Azarax's face for a moment. Tales long forgotten exist in the telling. Right? We were just inside it. Our essence permeated that power. Maybe this is a way for you to find your answers. And I can't begin to understand what it is that you're going through. And I'm sure it's very difficult. But maybe, instead of turning away from these memories, you should turn towards them.
And he sort of looks at you for a long time. And eventually his gaze goes from anger and aggression to one of understanding and brotherhood, right? And he goes, well, and it's like he goes from that anger to a smirk.
He said, what is it you said about food now? I may not have slept a wink, but I could eat a horse right now.
I think at the mention of food, we're going to cut away for a moment. A couple hours pass, perhaps. And it isn't long before Azarax, Marius, attacks as you are all together in the war room that you met in previously. Card, you have returned from outside, perhaps gazing at the sunrise from another location. And you sweep into the room. And as you do, Weaver enters from another entryway. And there is just a significant silence for a moment. How's Card doing?
Card will walk in, and he has something maybe perhaps on his mind, something he wants to say, but he pauses, and something catches his nostrils, and it doesn't seem like it's good food, freshly cooked. And he looks directly at Taxes. You gotta clean yourself up badly. And then he stretches.
And he sniffs himself.
Yeah. All right. Fine.
And I imagine that he takes a moment. He probably, even though we're all gathered in this war room, he realizes that he needs to like clean a bit, and so he probably walks out for a moment, walks to like the horse's stables, and then just like drenches himself in water and like cleans himself up. After a moment, he walks back into the room. He's sort of like still drenched, not really like washed off. He just does that like dog shake of a clean as he walks back into the room.
He goes, there. You happy?
Never better.
Weaver looks down at the puddle that is amassing around your feet, Taxes, as the water drains from you, but he doesn't say anything. And he looks at each of you and he says, "The time has come. I have a few more things that I would need to explain to you. But as it stands, we're running out of time. I have received some disturbing news. But I understand," and he sort of glances over at all of you, his gaze maybe lingering a bit longer upon Marius. "I understand that all of you may have other things that you would like to ask or say. And I do not blame you."
Blame is an interesting word to use. Can you blame a person who makes a sword for all the deaths by swords? Can you blame the man who found fire for all of the people who have been burnt, all the homes? A question that I have wrestled with over this night. I think it comes to intent, what the intent was that you had when you created this thing.
The intention on my part was that Equinox would be a liberating hero, created as the epitome of all legends that have come before us. As you now know, his creation was influenced by other forces, dark forces that permeate throughout this world and the telling. I do not believe you can blame a man who has lit a fire for all homes that have been destroyed by such, or a warrior for every individual slain with a sword. But for my part, it was wrong of me not to tell you. But you must understand, when you first arrived, when I first met you, if I had told you that the Lorekeepers, I created Equinox, you would not have agreed to undergo the journey you are upon now.
Have you such little faith in your friends?
He's not
God.
my friend.
Card looks to Marius, kind of with a scowl on his face. While looking at Marius, he asks Weaver, "And what was your intent, Weaver?" Then he looks back to Weaver. The focus is on the word intent.
My intent was to make a difference. I had lived through the reign of chaos. I had seen all that tyranny had wrought across these 9 kingdoms. We sought to make a difference. As I said, perhaps having more faith could have meant we would have avoided all of this. But you speak of intent, Card. My intent was never to make you all like the Lorekeepers of old, but to be something new. Grim was wiped clean for a reason. Not only to hide him, but to create a fresh start. A new
A
dawn.
fresh start that has been created based on a lie.
It is true. I do not make excuses for what I have done. And maybe I would do things differently. But that time has passed. You can be better than what we were. Whether he was created to destroy the God King or to liberate the land, it does not matter. He needs to be stopped. And the fact still remains, you are the only ones that can do it. Hazarax, you spoke of wishing to delve into the technicalities of the ritual that created him. It was like telling a story. A beginning, a middle, and an end. It had structure. A structure that was based upon something, the telling. As nebulous as it is still another dimension, another place. And everything that comes from another place, if it is to stay here, it must be anchored in some way. Equinox has such an anchor, I believe. But to fully ascertain if this theory is correct, we need an example. And it just so happens I have just that example in mind.
Marius turns and he's like looking at the rest of them with this like look of incredulity on his face. It just so happens that he has an example in mind. Are we taking orders from this person still? And he's just like looking at you, all of you, with this like look of like, why is he still here?
Weaver doesn't say anything.
We've seen the truth. If Weaver's not here right now, Weaver, if he leaves and never comes back, I still choose to go. We've set ourselves on this course. And this liar, and he looks directly at Weaver, happens to be telling the truth. That we are the only ones that can stop him. And his face, the hardened features of Card's face soften towards Weaver as he finishes the statement. A little bit.
There's something about that phrase, it just so happens, that like makes Marius very angry. It's too convenient. It seems planned. It all seems like a conspiracy to him. He has dealt with contingencies and conspiracies of apostates his whole life, and this strikes him exactly like the kind of move that some maniac would make. And so he's really struggling with this, and he's struggling that his friends cannot see that. And so he scoffs loudly. He shakes his head, but doesn't say anything else.
The example I speak of, it is not something that has simply appeared out of thin air, Marius. It is something that has been in Farwyde for a very long time. It just happens that none have been able to reach it. But if anyone can, it is you. To the south, the very southern regions of Farwyde, there is a wasteland. It is cold, inhospitable. But beyond it, there are mountains, as Farwyde is surrounded by them. But there is a ruin there, fused into the mountains itself. It exudes dread all across the southern wastes. The Nightmare Shrine. The legends describe it that in the closing days of the Third Era, the Nightmare Shrine, an interdimensional prison designed to house the most deadly threats to the material plane. That was his purpose. It is a tribute to all of the legends that went wrong. From what I know, it exists in multiple places, and the winds of time function strangely within its halls. It is incredibly dangerous. It keeps a perpetual state because it is anchored to this plane, as all things from any other place are. Equinox is from the telling, another dimension. It is my belief that there is something that binds him to this world, or at least keeps his power from waning. If you were able to examine the anchor within the shrine, it might give us insight as to how it works. You wanted the insight. That is how you achieve it.
Have any of us heard anything about the Nightmare Shrine at all that would, or is this just brand new information?
As you would have been in Farwyde longest, Card, I'm going to say that you have heard of the Nightmare Shrine. Something that is talked about in hushed whispers. Fear, dread exudes from the place. But generally speaking, the southern regions of Farwyde are not exactly habitable. Nothing grows there. It is a very dangerous place. But you would have heard the stories.
And the stories, go above and beyond the Nightmare Shrine. I imagine there's so many tales of, boogie monsters and, things that aren't quite real per se, about the far and freezing and frozen south. But the Nightmare Shrine is real. And he knows it because he's heard it from his father. And so his face is more... He glances around the room, and then his eyes settle on Azarax, and the rest of the companions before he says, "It's real. It's real."
Azarax's mind is racing, calculating, trying to figure out whether or not Marius's conspiracy theory is true. Now, Marius may be a little bit paranoid, but there most certainly could be some truth to this. And his mind is racing. And all he can think is, can he catch Weaver in a lie? We gave him a chance before. So he's thinking about what Weaver said about this place, about it being anchored to somewhere else. I rolled an Arcana check and I got a 25. And I'm trying to figure out, one, whether or not what he says is true. No, I guess that's pretty much it. Like, how would what is the Nightmare Shrine connected to, and how tangibly would that help us against Equinox?
So from what you know from that incredible roll, so I'm just going to lay it plain for you. This anchor and the Nightmare Shrine, it all sounds to you like this place would have to have some kind of immense power around it if it were to maintain a perpetual state in this reality when it's from somewhere else. Almost like a circuit, each part existing in a different plane of reality. You don't know if that's 1 or 2 or 1,000. But the other thing that sticks in your mind is that we've mentioned that this acted as an interdimensional prison for colossal threats against the realm that only this place could house from another time.
And I think that Azarax would, realizing this, give voice to his own reservations. What is hidden in there? I mean, if we had to go inside, do you not think that there would be some unspeakable horror? If we've learned anything, it is that tales are lost to the ages, right? It's Equinox's modus operandi, to erase the legends. What if there's something worse than Equinox in the Nightmare Shrine?
It is entirely possible. It is my fear if Equinox were to descend upon the Nightmare Shrine, he would attempt to use it for his own ends. This is why if you are able to examine this anchor, it would also be best to destroy it. If Equinox were to take control of such a place, it could mean the end for us all. Your spell glove, Azarax. I'm confident that you'll be able to interact with it somehow. I believe it's the only chance you have.
Azarax looks down at his glowing blue appendage. He reaches underneath his cloak, pulls out a copper coin, and does that awesome trick that I can't do in real life, but flips it from one finger to the other, making absolutely no secret of the fact that he is weaving a spell. As he utters the arcane words, I imagine they reverberate around the Methanium as I cast Detect Thoughts and peer into Weaver's mind. I'm going to use the ability to read the surface thoughts, and then I'm immediately going to try to probe deeper into his consciousness to see if this motherfucker is lying to us. So this, as per the spell, the surface thoughts are free. You can automatically do it, but it's just whatever they're kind of thinking at the time in the moment.
Okay. So the surface thoughts, you get an earnest sense from Weaver, a great sorrow and shame Shame would be the primary emotion that you get from him. And a tiny spark of hope. Hoping maybe that not all is lost. Deeper thoughts, however. It's like your spell hits a barrier. When it hits Weaver's mind, it's almost like he's about to stop you. But he doesn't. You see a younger version of Weaver, adorned in a travel cloak, 2 dual scaly scimitars at his sides. And he's looking into the distance, and in the far distance you can see a singular pinnacle that rises into the air. A vast black ball of energy revolving around it. And then it's almost as if your vision moves as he looks, and you can see in the opposite direction the mountains that wreathe the flanks, the southern flanks of Farwyde. And you see a structure, as Weaver described, almost fused into the mountainside. A fortress. A vast bridge reaching up to its doors at the center. You can see pieces of this building float as if held by some force, and an eerie, almost watery dome that surrounds it entirely. This is what's dominating his thoughts currently. We've seen it before.
I imagine that seeing this scene, we see this scene, and we pull back to a wide view of us in the Methanium. We see Azarax there, we see Weaver there, we see the other Lorekeepers, his companions standing to the side, and we see this scene, a scene from Weaver's mind. Azarax looks out at the spell glove, and it's projecting an image in the air of his very thoughts. Azarax turns and looks at Marius. He says, regret, shame, and a glimmer of hope is what he's thinking. As well, when we were in the Methanium, in the telling, when we saw the forging of Equinox, I used the same spell to look into the minds of, well, the reflections of the former Lorekeepers. Weaver still had that same thought of hope. Stafflin's thoughts were of uncertainty. The Chaos Witch Adria, curiosity. Damodra and the Lord's Blade, triumph, elation. And his eyes flick over to Card, and he says, Dom Kilgannon, 3 words. This is wrong. He closes his fist, and the image disappears.
Weaver sort of bows his head. And he says, it is what must be done. And I do not begrudge you at all for mistrusting me. I deserve that. Everything that I have done, for better or for worse, was to help this world. But you will be better. You are better. And you can do what I never could. You don't have long, but if you journey swiftly, perhaps we can catch Advent at a disadvantage for a change. What do you all think? That's not Weaver, that's me.
Taxes has been sitting quietly in the back of the room. He is sort of gnawing on whatever morning breakfast that they were having. But he's just been sort of chewing and watching and listening, hearing the opinions of the others. But then his gaze, like, sits on Weaver. He glances to each one as they all sort of state their case as to why we should go, why we should do these things. And Marius as to why we shouldn't. Then he looks directly at Weaver. And he stands up from his space at the war table. And he walks over to Weaver, looks him right in the eye.
You know, when we first started this, I kind of hated you from the get-go. You pushed my buttons. You made me feel uncomfortable. You kept telling me you were going to tell me things. And then you kept putting it off over and over and over again. But now I understand. Now I get it. Sometimes.
And it's almost like he's remembering those nightmares, remembering last night, right? How he felt last night. And the words he uses are,
sometimes when you do something that's not right, something you don't feel good about, honorable, you bury it like a body. So,
and I don't know, I can't quite think of what one dragon to another, what like a sign of respect and a sign of honor might be between two different clans of two different types of dragons. But Taxus starts his own because he doesn't remember what his old clan did. And he grips Weaver's shoulder and he puts a hand to his chest.
we're all that we have left. And if I'm going to die, I'd rather die for another dragon than someone else.
Weaver looks at you in the eyes and he looks down, meets your gaze again, and then puts his hand upon your shoulder and he says, Taxes. Your people headed south. The wasteland I described is the last known location before they disappeared. I've searched. And he looks to Azarax as if indicating that vision of him wandering the wastes. Well, that
another truth conveniently hidden. Another essential piece of information that has been concealed until it could be manipulated at a right moment.
I told you that they headed south, Hexenheim. I understand. And again, I do not blame you for mistrusting me. But there are greater forces at work here. The time has come. Will you go?
If Azarax thinks that this is the best solution and it's the only way that we can do what we need to do, well, I'll go.
Unfortunately, I don't see much choice. As far as a place that could be a conduit like this, I don't know. There's rumor of an old temple in the Penny Kingdoms, but that's a long way from here. You know, Weaver, Marius makes some good points. It's not the first time that conveniently you have known something that would help us out. I believe that you are acting in what you think is good conscience. But you only get one. You have used it up. Do not lie to us again.
He meets your gaze through the visor of Berator. I know.
Then my vote is we should go. And evidently post-haste.
I'll make preparations. And Marius will turn for a second, and as he'll stop as he gets to the door, and he will say, I wanted to kill you. And these people stopped me. They won't stop me a second time. And then he'll leave.
And Card walks out after him and looks to Weaver and says, he's right. I won't stop him a second time. And he walks out.
And as a deathly silence falls across the war room, we're going to take a moment to say hello and welcome to Performance Check. My name is Rob, and this is the Lorekeepers, Chapter 11, Into the Nightmare Shrine. Whew, my goodness me. Putting Weaver through his paces there, and I don't blame you at all. So thank you ever so much to my wonderful players joining me tonight, and thank you guys for watching. We're going to have us quickly introduce ourselves. We're going to take a very, very short break, and then we are going to begin our journey towards the Nightmare Shrine. And first to introduce himself should be Lloyd.
Hello, I am Lloyd, also your LDM, also Marius Hexenheim. I really hate that fuck. That's all.
Okay, Chad.
Oh man. Hi guys. My name is Chad. I am on YouTube as Chad Nick, otherwise known as DM Gastro Gamer. Dude, and I play a kick-ass Dragonborn known as Taxes. I'm loving this thing. This is awesome. And Marius, if it comes down to it, blood is thicker than water, brother. Blood and blood.
Wise words. Lorekeepers, my man.
What's up, people? My name is Lorekeepers. I love playing in the Lorekeepers. My fellow players are excellent, and Rob is just amazing as always, man. I don't hate Weaver. I kind of want to hate him, but I don't hate him. I feel like he's one of those characters it's good to have in a story where you're like, is he a slime ball or is he could be like the big bad guy who's got like super magic powers and he's just manipulating us, or maybe he's just really like a down on his luck dragonborn like he's making him out to be. That's what I love about him, is we still don't fucking know, and it's great. Anyway, my name's Lorekeepers, and we're gonna take a break and be back
After we introduce Barker.
Hello, everybody. My name is Barker. But no, I am also down for taking that break and coming back. But I am playing Card Kilgannon, son of perhaps Domino Kilgannon, Dom Kilgannon, and the Lorekeeper, the famed Lorekeeper who was killed by Equinox himself. And so Card is way too easily trusting of Weaver because he's personally attached to the mission in a way that he can't really extract himself from it, and so perhaps it's getting the best of him, and we'll see. But everything Lorekeepers said, man, this campaign is great. I love being a Lorekeeper, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
Perfect. Okay, guys, break for a short break. Grab yourself a drink, and we'll be back in a short while. Thank you, guys, for watching live and after the fact. See you shortly. What is going on, everybody? Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Joining us, rather. Yeah, putting Weaver through his paces there. Which is valid. I will say. Valid reasoning behind the arguments there.
All right.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna try to eat dinner and play at the same time. So don't worry about me if I'm like all of a sudden not paying the hell of attention. I love you guys. I'm gonna listen and eat.
It's cool, man. It's all good. Multitask. What were you all thinking then?
Fucking Weaver. Could he be the big bad guy? He could be. He could be.
Like here's the thing. I'm in the same position as everybody else. Could be a slime ball, but I'm Team Dragonborn, man. Like if there's like you got to take teams, I'm gonna take Team Dragonborn because what happens? The two of us go, hey, by the way, I'm kind of a slime ball. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna kill you. If not, and he ends up being a good guy, I don't want to kill the last of my race. Like I don't want to be one is the loneliest number. One is the no, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that one lonely dragonborn walking the wasteland for the rest of my life.
I'm gonna kill him. And mechanically, I could definitely kill you. So don't get in the way.
Ah, man. You got to go into mechanics now. We're min-maxing this shit now. Okay.
Maybe he does.
I'll threaten you, Lord. I could kill you in real life, so don't even think. I'm just kidding, man.
And as the death threat,
I'm like a halfling, you beat the crap out of me.
And now, like, successfully like lost followers because we're talking about death threats now. Now subscribers gone.
No, dude, if it bleeds, it leads, man. You just gain subscribers there.
This campaign is basically always leading up to like a mass sort of killing between all of us. We all go for one of each other. It's like the greatest Mexican standoff of all time. We're pushed because we are starting a bit later tonight, so I'm going to get straight back onto it. You begin your journey. After assessing the route to take from the war room, you need to head south through mountain passes and over precarious outcroppings and ravines. You notice the further south you go, the more bleak the landscape becomes. It becomes colder, if that's possible. Much colder. You've been used to snow in Farwyde. But this is starting to really test you. It's difficult to sleep. Your equipment, your clothes, wet from trudging through sleet and snow drifts. And then that sleet almost becomes grit. You see sweeping before you an icy, rocky wasteland, dotted here and there with disheveled, broken trees. The thing that you can see for the most part on your journey is that looming spire, that pinnacle that rises high into the air, that vast ball of energy evolving around it. And it is not long before you crest a hill and you see another vast stretch of land. You've journeyed days and nights to reach here. Perhaps conversation is short, but now you see, fused into the side of an igneous black mountain, the Nightmare Shrine. It is as you had seen in the vision, Azarax, from Weaver's mind. Portions of the tower have separated from the main structure and are held there by some mysterious force. Blue crackling energy arcs around its spire, and it is met at the top by this huge dome that surrounds it, this kind of watery, translucent energy surrounding it. The skies overhead are dark. The weather closing in. You may not trust Weaver, but there is truth to his words in this regard. This place exudes dread. The air is cold and close, and you have an opportunity to discuss your approach before you head into the Nightmare Shrine. You hear the scratching from Grim, as that is the title of chapter 11 that fills within his pages. Thoughts?
Card swallows and it comes out as a gulp, and anyone near him would hear it, but he tries to not so subtly convert it into a clearing his throat. But he looks to his companions, waiting for their first move.
Azarax has been just useless for the past couple of days. He's constantly shivering and complaining about the cold. His nose is dripping. He looks up, pulling his spider silk, drow spider silk robe pulled tight around him, covered up. Let's just get these over with. Inside, the mantra that Marius taught him: feel the fear, overcome the fear. Feel the fear, overcome the fear.
Marius sees this dread place and can't help but think that if he wanted to get rid of 4 of the most powerful heroes in the world, that this is where you would send them.
It does look incredibly foreboding. And despite its awesome, in the original sense of the word, appearance, I would like you to make a perception check, please, and put it into the chat. All of you are too awestruck by the vision in front of you. And that is all that is dominating each of your thoughts. So you see that there is this bridge that is at the top of this stairway, and the bridge arcs from sort of one sort of pillar of rock over a slight ravine to the entrance of the Nightmare Shrine.
I think Azrax will step up and through the crack in between his robes, you'll see his ethereal blue hand reach out, and the glyphs on the center will spin as he looks to the magical energies of this place. Before approaching, I would like to use my Lorekeeper ability to cast Detect Magic.
Absolutely. That gives it, yeah, you can absolutely do that. So you do, funnily enough, detect magic. It's almost like a maelstrom of different magical forces converging around the Nightmare Shrine. But one of them in particular stands out to you, something that you are not entirely, it's something you would never have felt before. It seems almost like time itself is warping around this structure.
This doesn't make any sense. It must be the cold. No, something's wrong here. I don't know. This place, it's off. It's not grounded. It's as if the laws of time hold no sway here. I don't. Something weird.
Card looks Azarax up and down, seeing him shiver in the cold, and he says, "Are you sure it's not you that's out of your element?"
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I can wait. I guess it's cold.
No, I think we should get a closer look. Maybe if you get closer, you'll be able to understand a little bit more what's happening.
Yeah, okay. Son of a bitch. Azarax, he's scared, but he's colder than he is scared, and maybe it's warmer in there. So Azarax will make his way across this bridge. But as he does so, I imagine that you might see a sheen across the visor of Veritor. He's going to inspect the ground in front of him, and if this place really is a place that no one has ever made it into, there's a reason for that. Be it guardians, be it death traps, be it glyphs of warding. There's a reason that people haven't been in here. So he's going to try to search the area as he approaches to make sure that we don't fall into a trap.
Yeah, absolutely. Make the roll. And I will explain as you make the roll that you're all approaching across this bridge. No railings on either side. It appears to be made out of one piece of rock, almost like it's been shaped perfectly. This sort of blackish blue material that it's made from. And as you approach, you see that the dome reaches at a point at the bridge. And you're all standing in front of this shimmering kind of wall in front of you. What did you make, Lucas?
I made a 15 for my investigation check.
So it doesn't seem like there's anything out of sorts in terms of the structure or anything that you're missing. There is a huge set of double doors that are not far from where the bridge meets the fortress. and you assume that that's the way in. You don't know necessarily if people have never got in before, but it doesn't seem likely. And that barrier, that strange energy surrounding this place, it's giving you a weird feeling.
Yeah, addled by the cold and the strange nature of this place, Azrax will continue forward up towards these doors. Now, I would guess that there's probably no other tracks in the snow other than the ones that we're leaving behind. Is that right?
You didn't see any tracks, no. Is it all of you going in? Because to go up to the door, that would require you walking into the dome.
I think
walking into the energy.
I think Card absolutely would, and maybe even a little too quickly. But on the way, he does say, "It's a prison. It's not built to keep anything out."
So Card steps through. And as you step through, you notice something peculiar. You step through, and it's almost like nothing really happens to you. It's almost like you're walking through cold liquid, but then you come out the other side, you're completely dry. And you look around, and you can see that your friends are almost frozen, moving considerably slower than you are.
I through this kind of almost underwater, maybe it looks like a barrier where I kind of see them just kind of slowly turning or whatnot in super slow-mo. Card will say, "Come on through," and see if they can hear him.
You absolutely can, by the way. It's weird, distorted, almost it's almost indescribable. It's just peculiar, and his voice sort of seems to echo.
Azrax will look to Taxes and Marius and say, I can't make heads or tails of this. There's some sort of a temporal anomaly. But if we're going to go, we should all go now. And he'll step through.
Marius, Taxes?
I think Taxes looks to Marius, and he grunts.
Go on through. I want to check something before I leave.
Marius raises an eyebrow and walks through.
Again, a chill touch. The strangest feeling as you pass through this anomaly.
Taxes has the last to go through. I think that Taxes is a survivalist. He is always one, as they've been going through this southern wastes. In his mind, he was continually thinking of what Weaver said about how the last known Dragonborn that traveled south, gone this way, and moved this way. I mean, he remembers something that Azrax just said about, tracks, thinking about traps and all these things. But he's a survivalist. He's not one to turn his back and to walk into unknown territory without first sniffing and searching the territory for what may lie ahead. And as steam sort of builds up on his body from this like snow-like desert dust, he's going to check for like tracks. He's going to check for any sort of sign of rustling on the outside of this area before, outside of their own tracks.
Absolutely. I can actually save you a bit of time. You don't need to roll because it doesn't matter what you get, despite the fact the only tracks here would be your own. This place seems untouched.
Okay.
Not a creature has come close.
Cool. So as he sort of like does a quick like reptilian sweep of the front entrance, right? He sort of grunts back up, stands at his full height, and walks in. Definitely nervous and definitely concerned for what's to come.
Azarax, you get this glimmer of light on your periphery. Grim begins to glow. I think I might be able to help, Grim says.
Oh, do it. Light a fire.
I can't exactly do that, Azarax, but this place, it's not too dissimilar to things we've experienced with the telling, the Law Gate, the Gate of Gael. It's connected, at least in part. Weaver said that this place could be connected to many different places. The telling must be one of them. And there is sort of like a pulse of yellow energy. And it falls across this doorway, and it appears that this yellow light seems to fill into these mysterious shapes that you first of all did not see. Strange patterns beginning to glow in the doorway. And then suddenly, it begins to open. A dank, stifling gust of air exudes from this place. And before you, you see only darkness.
Well,
He looks to Taxus sort of looks to the group, and he looks to Azarax, being as chilled and as cold as he is. He reaches into a pack on his back, and he I imagine that he probably has some sort of a torch or a stick or something that he's probably collected in his travels and surviving. And he just sort of and it lights a torch on the end of it.
here. This will keep you warm, and I'll light our way. I'm not going to be scared of that darkness.
So by that, I imagine Taxes, intrepid Taxes, is the first to step into the darkness.
Oh yeah, no. Taxes is one of those take no prisoners type people, and I imagine that he looks at this door opening up, and he has no idea why the hell these things work. He doesn't do enough reading to know why. He leaves that to Azarax and to Marius and to all of those noble book learned types. And you see that his body just, even though it's tense, even though it's nervous, reptilian serpentine mode begins as he hits the ground, this lumbering body sliding quickly into the darkness in front of them, as I assume Azarax is probably behind me with the light source now.
Yeah, maybe Azarax goes in next because it's cold.
Don't have to tell him twice. Absolutely.
So I assume you all enter then in that case. Card or Marius? Who's the last to go in? Card?
Card is eager probably to go in first. I imagine he understands that Marius doesn't want to be here, and so he doesn't want to look Marius in the eye while he's in here.
Okay.
Marius would linger for like a little bit on the entry. Like look up and around. And again, just ugh, and then step in.
I need to check something. A number of things happen. Marius, you step in through the doorway, and all of a sudden there's like, and the doors begin to close. However, that isn't the thing that dominates your vision currently. You are looking back as the doors close, and just beyond the shimmering dome, you see a sudden flash of yellow light.
Yellow light?
For a second, you see Equinox's mask beyond the dome as a blast of yellow energy arcs towards you. I need to make a roll. Card, make a dexterity saving throw.
I'm sorry, I just realized I was muted. At first I asked, "Am I getting hit with something?" And then I rolled, something very, very low.
Marius, you are frozen to the spot as the doors begin to close. Too small a gap for you to get through to charge your enemy. But it is big enough a gap for the disintegrating beam to pass through the door and hit Card in the chest. The doors close. Card, you are thrown back. And you hit the ground. A feeling of agony begins to course through your body. For the rest of you looking, you see Card has this blazing yellow wound right in the center of his chest. But then nothing happens. Card, you are in agony, as if something is eating away at you.
And he's you said it's like in the center of his chest. You said
It's like that.
begins. Okay, he begins scratching at that spot to try to make it go away. And if it's agonizing, then he'll fall to his back while doing so.
Yeah, he collapses backwards.
Marius is going to run over to him immediately and like fall to his knees next to him and like begin like the arduous process of like pulling off his gauntlets.
Yeah.
Cut it from me! Cut it from me!
It's an agonizing pain. But you are used to when Equinox has hit someone with this. That's it. Disintegrated. But it hasn't happened. The pain is continual. It does not relent. Slowly burning into you.
Do I have an idea? Oh man, no, I'm too busy agonizing over this. Okay.
Marius is going to try and like channel his healing powers and just like try and fix it, pull it out. If it seems like it's tangible, then he would try to like pull rather than like close the wound over it.
You're trying everything, but it doesn't appear to work.
Rob,
Cut it from me! Cut it from me!
is there like a hole all the way through his body?
It doesn't appear to be, no. You're used to this power ripping through landscapes, and yet it's almost like the beginning of something.
Yeah, Azrax's mind is racing. And he comes to the realization that we are in a bubble of slow time. Something about this place. And he realizes, looking down at Cod Kilgan and his friend, that he's going to be disintegrated. But it's going to take a very long time. He sees this roiling energy. He looks down at Marius. Hold him down. Taxes, Marius, hold him down.
Taxes does so. It is like almost instantaneous. Azarax says something, and it's like he trusts Azarax more than anything. So it's like, boom, I'm doing that.
Azarax is shaking. It's a mixture of cold and fear at this point. He sees this hole, this disintegrating hole in Cod Kilgannon. He doesn't know what to do. So he tries something crazy. The steel wand appears in his good hand. The spell glove reaches out. And we see a quick flash of energy. Perhaps the other two would see inside of the wound this tiny mirror appear. This scintillating illusion of reflective energy appear as I cast minor illusion inside of the wound to make a reflective surface. He screams over the screams of Cod. God! It's too late. I was going to do a loud scream, but I'm not going to do it. He reaches out the spell glove. He taps into his Lorekeeper ability, the same ability that allowed him to hold back Equinox's power. And he reflects it from the mirror in the wound, trying to blast the energy back out of the wound into the air. I imagine jumping back in an explosion of blue and gold as he does so.
The blazing blue and yellow light meeting, like at the Battle of Kilgannon, where you stood against the power of Equinox. But that had been a time when the spell, the power, had not yet met its target. You look back down and you see that your illusion is being eaten away. Card, can you make me a Constitution saving throw, please?
Jeez, Louise. That's right. Something we say. 10 is my total,
You have
which is higher than I thought it was going to be.
+4 from me because I'm next to you.
Ooh, I will take that. 14 total.
You're able to steel yourself, and although the pain is agonizing, you are able to take control of your faculties, and you're able to... It's something that's gnawing into you. But yeah, you're able to master it. You're able to sort of get to your knees, perhaps.
But I can't stop it. It just feels like it's burrowing and burrowing in.
Yeah.
You're a brilliant bastard. But he does get up to a knee, and he's clutching at his chest, and he can't. He would tear open his tunic is already ripped open. Marius has already gotten down to it, and he's watching it. Is it expanding? Is it visually growing into me?
But almost imperceptibly, like if you, at a glance, if you carefully watched, you could see that it is slowly starting to expand. But at this point, it's only the size of a coin, like that.
Card will rise to his feet and let out a scream into the reverberating darkness that ends almost in a whimper. A pitiful whimper as his hand is over his heart, trying with all of his might to remember the dream and remember Lyra's words and hope that somehow he can pull it out with just pure will alone. He, realizing that he can't, he will steel himself, and there's a long moment of silence before he looks to Azarax, to Taxes, and then to Marius, and then he says, "We don't have much time."
Azarax, this is a prison for the most powerful things. All terrible things, all these powerful, awful things. One of them will be able to fix this.
Okay. Right.
You can make a pact with one of them. Something.
Sure. Okay. Right. Okay, where would they be kept? Azarax starts looking around, trying to get our bearing and figure out our next course of action.
Before you see a long hallway that goes deep into the darkness. You can see at the very far end of the hallway there is some kind of opening where an eerie blue light emanates from.
Azarax starts bounding down that way. He just takes off in a run. We don't have much time.
Yeah, you run and you get to the end of this hallway, your footsteps echoing off the stone. And you see a huge opening, and you see that you're within the central tower. You look up and you see spiraling above you this staircase, and laid into all the walls are hundreds of different doorways, some locked with iron, some with shimmering portals, some with mysterious mists pouring from them. This is a myriad of different types of cells, safes, and prisons, all in this tower. And you can see at the very top this arcing blue energy. You can see where the tower is severed in parts and hovering at the very top of the structure.
That's amazing. Does it seem like the blue energy at the top is the source of the power for all of these portals and various arcane doorways?
It's difficult to tell where you are at the moment, but you remember the anchor, as Weaver described it, as being the general sort of core of this place. And that appears to be where the energy is exuding from at the top of the tower. You have to investigate. You have to check things out. I can't tell you.
Prisons have wardens and jails have jailers. There must be something in charge here. They would know. And like against his better judgment, Marius is going to call out, "Hello!"
Your voice echoes throughout the halls. And there is no noise that returns, no answer to your cry.
On all of these doors and portals and everything, is there any sort of are there cell numbers? Are there any plaques on them to let us know who or what might be housed within them?
There appear to be numbers of different strange carvings. Some of them you wouldn't be able to understand, but others do have simple symbols. There is one firmly barred brass doorway that has a symbol of fire that is emblazoned upon it. There is one that has a cog as you move further up the stairs, for example, that looks almost mechanical. Some don't have doorways at all, like I say, some have shimmering kind of energy mist.
Wait, these are all actual portals to other planes of existence? I mean, this could lead to Mechanus. This could be the elemental plane of fire. Jesus, I could spend years in this place.
How exciting, Card will mutter under his breath as he's leaning up against the wall, clutching his chest.
Which one of them saved Card?
I don't know. Elysium. One of these celestial realms. Look,
Taxes speaks up as he can see that Azarax is starting to freak out, being the one that has to make this decision and make these things. He goes,
I'll treat it like a hunt. You tell me where to go, I'll find it. Work together, we cover enough doors, we find the answer we need.
Okay. Something that has a flowery script, like this. He traces his finger in the air, and he'll do his best facsimile of celestial script with a minor illusion in the air to sort of give people an idea to look for. Simply thinking that if we are going to try to gain the help of some entity, it might as well be from a traditionally good place.
Right.
and he has that image in his head as he watches the symbols, and you guys have seen him hunt before, and I imagine that. Rob, you said this place has stairs upon stairs. How is it actually formed? Is it it's a tower, or is it almost like in Dread where there's wall? It's like a square box that has all of these cells in it. Is it more like an actual prison, or is it how is it formed out?
So where you're in at the moment, it is one large tower. And sort of there is a spiral staircase that leads you up to different floors. On each of the floors, there are different doorways all the way up. And you can see that the spiral staircase meets this almost sort of see-through floor at the very, very top. But it's hard to sort of gauge from where you are at the moment. It's still quite low down. You can see actually the entry hall that you ran through. There are a number of corridors sort of spiraling off in different directions as well on the ground floor. It's a myriad of different places to go.
Shit, I don't want to leave you. He looks to Card. I especially don't want to leave you behind. But it's time. Look, we're gonna try to save time. We're gonna split. Go in different directions. Call out. You find the right door. We meet up.
And I imagine that Taxes now, he just starts to climb. He just gets into that serpentine like hunt mode, and he just starts to climb.
Would you allow Card to grab you? Would you allow Card to grab you, Taxes, before you do that? Before you turn away?
He gets like almost. It's almost like a cat climbing up like a scratching post. He gets up to like getting ready to go up into that next staircase, and you reach out and you probably grab the back of his tail.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And he'll once you stop and once you kind of have this moment where you're looking at each other, he will say, "There's one reason we're here," and he'll put, if he can, like your hand on his chest, and he says, "This changes nothing. Nothing."
Fuck you, Kilgannon. God damn it.
And it like it's almost like he wants to cry. He's like, fuck you. And he nods in approval, but like is angry as shit as he starts climbing this staircase, going and hunting for this celestial door.
Taxes feverish. You're sort of moving ahead. You are bounding up these stairs, looking at these different doorways to different places. You peer down into what looks like a massive grate in the ground for one of these things, horizontal rather than a vertical door. And you look in and all you can see is just this roiling mass of 100 arms and 50 heads, each arm wielding a blade, whirling about like a hurricane. You stare into this sort of shifting mirror-like place, and you can see in the center this vast blackish blue being, sort of made primarily of muscle, massive long claws and razor-like fangs, looking at you and lunging for you before the mirror turns around and is replaced by a flower that is blooming. This place is messing with your mind, and it is then that I would like you all to make a perception check, please.
I'm going to roll at disadvantage because I think that makes sense.
Okay. Great rolls. But with a natural 20, Marius, you hear something. A heavy footstep. It's a natural 20. You know it's a footstep. From above you.
Yup. He's gonna like just reach back and like put the shield onto his arm, and he would say quietly to Card and Azarex, "There's something above. We need to get Taxes back to us."
Azarex would whisper, unheard on the wind. If I'm not sure how far away is Taxes. Can you see him anymore?
He's about a floor and a half above you.
So would you say it's probably within 120 feet?
Yes.
Taxus would hear Azarax whisper in the back of his mind. There's someone up there. Something.
And it's like he's in mid climb to like start bounding, up these next stairs, and he stops about half right at that moment, kind of clinging onto the wall.
Which floor? Where?
Azarax's ears twitch. I don't know. I can't tell.
It was a natural 20 for Lloyd, so Marius, you know that it's at the top where that blazing blue energy is.
Yep, I would tell Azarax that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Azarax would tell Taxus that.
Oh no, that's fine. I just like I'm sitting here hanging, bro. Like, come on, man. But he goes,
Should I wait for you? Or you want me to go check it out?
Fucking wait!
his blood is like boiling as he's sitting here. Like he wants to just like wreck whatever did this to Card, right? Like there's just, as soon as he got in here, as soon as that happened, he went from being like stealthy predatory, and he's almost pissed that like he didn't catch that, and that wasn't something that like clicked in his head. And so he's hanging from this floor, and he just grunts like,
Shit.
and he jumps off, and like you hear the rattling of like talons against the stony tops of this cobblestone. Like what, I don't know if it's probably cobblestone, right? And he just waits for them like a scalded dog, like, God damn it.
Son of a bitch.
You're all able to join Taxes where he is. Perhaps Marius, Azarax, you're helping Card. Card, you're able to keep your feet, but throughout this, the pain is just building and building, and you're clenching your teeth. You are focusing with all of your might to stop this overwhelming feeling crippling you.
Can I see inside myself when I look at the wound?
It's kind of like looking into, it's like a candle that's burning within you, and if your body would be the wax, but it's fizzling with these yellow embers. If you imagine watching one of Equinox's previous victims disintegrated, but massively slowed down, that's exactly, it's like a core of a sun opening within your heart. Not your actual heart, not yet, anyway.
I think that as we're walking, Azarax is frantically thinking of some way that we can save Card from this just grisly death that awaits him. He doesn't say that, but he does say, he gives voice to his thoughts. If we can find the conduit to the telling, maybe we can use the power of the telling to pull the energy out. Or maybe we can use the time magic of this place, somehow reverse it and stop it from ever happening. Rob, do I think either of those things would be theoretically possible?
Give me an Arcana check.
All right, let's do it. It's a 5, but I get to roll with advantage. That's an 8 plus 5 is no, plus 7 is a 15. 15.
You don't know.
Damn it. I'll use my point of inspiration to reroll. That's a 14 plus 7 is a 21.
You've never heard of such a thing. Generally speaking, with Equinox, if you're hit, that's it. You feel if you can access the telling, then maybe, but you remember the words of Equinox. They echo in your mind. I am the telling incarnate. As you continue climbing these stairs, you meet with taxes and you're continuing up. And your mind is whirling Azarax to think of a solution. But right now, not one, there isn't one coming to you.
Marius is really struggling with this, and he's gone through like a very swift succession of like modes of thought. Like first it was like, oh God, do whatever you can to save him. And then that wasn't possible. And then it was like, find something that can save him. And then that wasn't possible. And now there's a thing up there, and Marius has gone into pragmatic survival Marius, which is like, we need Card more fighting whatever this is, and we need him to do the important thing. And if we spend all our time not doing that, and he dies anyway, then it's all in vain. And so his face is set. He doesn't want to say anything like that, but he's thinking it.
Yeah. The only thing that you could possibly think of, obviously, with the fact that there is something up there, whether it's waiting for you, whether it's... You don't know, but your pragmatism at least keeps you emboldened. You continue to rise. The only thing that I should have added to that roll, Azarax, as it was 21, wasn't it? So it was pretty good. You reach the top of these stairs, the four of you, and you see that this thing opens up, and you're in almost like this dome, and you can see that around all of this circular wall, you can see doorway after doorway after doorway after doorway. And in the center of this room, upon this sort of dais, this plinth, there is this arcing blue light. It almost looks glass-like, molten, shifting and changing form, throwing light all across the room. Each of these doorways looks different from the other. There's only sound coming from one. Another footstep. Another footstep.
Azarax will point to the doorway from which the sound is coming. Is there any symbol on it?
There is not, because the doorway is shrouded in roiling purple mist. And as the footsteps grow louder, the mist begins to pour along the floor and begins to fill the room. Then there is a breeze. Builds into a steady wind. And then a gale. And this purple roiling mist begins to turn into a cyclone, entering into a huge set of armor that had been obscured by the mist. And now this 9-foot tall metal suit is standing there in front of you. And it says, "It is so rare that we receive visitors here." Who are you? This voice echoing from inside the armor.
No one to be trifled with.
And a natural, strange high laugh coming from this brutish-looking suit of armor. Another step forward towards you.
Card stands up even straighter and taller than he would if he weren't injured.
Marius
Gritting
takes
his
a
teeth.
step. Sorry. In response, Marius takes a step towards it as well.
I was bidden freedom, a gift in return for service. I have been in here for a long time, and as I'm sure you have managed to calculate, time works very differently in here. A moment can last a lifetime. Quite a while to spend with one's own thoughts. My duty is clear. You can kneel and die quickly, or fight and suffer.
What kind of freedom is it if you are still in the prison?
I have been promised freedom, and quite frankly, I see no other option available. You are the Lorekeepers, are you not?
We are.
A shame. I would savor the challenge of killing the 4 of you. But then what am I saying? We have all the time in the world. And he begins to stamp towards you. Roll initiative. If you wouldn't mind putting those into an order for me in the chat, is that okay? This massive individual in this colossal armor. This individual is known as Martial Mist, a terror of the Third Era. And he smashes his way towards you as he goes first. Marius, you step forward. He is going to attack you first. Is your armor class 18?
It is 18.
18. He has struck you once. His second attack misses. Basically, what happens is he doesn't appear to be wielding any weapons of any kind. He just has this massive metal fist that he just swings down, and his first attack catches you for 14 points of bludgeoning damage, just smashing into you from above. But he then whirls about as if on some kind of piston or something, and goes to make another attack, but you are able to deflect or dodge. Tell me how you do it.
It's a dodge rather than the usual block. The first one knocks him back a little bit. He wasn't ready, and he curses himself for that. But when he sees the second one coming, he's able to just barely duck under it.
Yeah, and as you barely duck under the second one, he goes, "Impressive! I had thought I would kill you in one. There's always next time." Marius, it is your turn.
You're not the first foul beast that I have killed, nor will you be the last. I swear it, and that will be my oath, as I rain down hell upon this thing. Hopefully. So that is a 23 to hit on the first, and a 23 on the second.
Both connect.
Excellent. I will use my Wrath of the Witch Hunter immediately and shamelessly as the hammer bursts with a subsonic boom. And I cannot find any d10s. Oh, there we go. Sorry. It's 20 for that attack.
Okay.
Second, I'm going to normal smite. Ooh. For 26 on that one.
Perfect. And your smiting energy sort of racks him as he sort of takes a staggering step back.
Impressive.
Looks down.
I thought I would kill you in one.
And then he sort of looks up and there's sort of a flash across his visor and he says, "I shall enjoy crushing you into the ground." And he raises a fist again, but as he goes to do so, Taxes, it is your turn.
Taxes. Taxes is like this coiled viper who's just he's watched his friend get waylaid in the chest. He had no way to fix this. He is watching him slowly burn, and he's watched this metal bitch just come up and knock his best friend right in the chest. And he's like, "All right, not today."
You want to fight someone? Fight me!
And he lunges forward with his blades, they flick out from his sides, and he just kind of serpentine slides up underneath, and I kind of imagine he's going to try to hit for an uppercut with his blade, against the jaw or the head. And yeah, it's just gonna be awesome if I can hit this.
Cool, man. Roll it up.
So I imagine that a 16 probably does not hit.
Does not connect.
Okay. But yeah, a 24.
That's going to hit.
That is going to hit. Okay. And then, so the first strike misses. He kind of gets overzealous and he overshoots. So he brings that arm up and the blade kind of goes right above the shoulder blade. The other one, he swings downward and clips mist right in the rib cage, I imagine, with this slashing blow across the chest.
Fantastic. And he takes another staggering step backwards as both you and Marius connect like a tidal wave against him. Chad, roll up that damage and whack it into the chat for me, and I'll put it on as soon as you've done it. Card, it's your turn. You've got this pouring kind of energy sort of through you. You are racked with agony, yet you can act.
The agony is enough to blur his vision a little bit, and so the vision, the action that's happening around him coalesces with reality and with the realities of time, and it's just everything kind of looks like a slow blur. And the agonizing pain in his chest is not making it any better, but you'll hear the scraping of this gargantuan longsword, not really gargantuan, but massive longsword, as it's creating sparks on the floor as a slow pace turns into a quick sprint, as Card removes his hand from his chest, lets out a mighty yell, and then brings the sword upward at his enemy. I'm going to attack, but I'm actually going to take -5 to the attack in order to get +10 to damage, as I can.
Nice.
Because I'm great. I roll. Okay, so all right. I don't know why that was so exciting. Total is 18 to hit, and oh look, rolling damage for the first time. Look at me being so prepared. Here we go. And total is 22 points of damage as this sword, in agony, in furious agony, is able to strike true against Martial Mist.
Amazing. And your scream of pain as your attack connects, slicing into the metal of this being, sends it sort of staggering to the side, and it makes a shifting movement as if it's going to strike down upon you. Azarax.
Azarax sees his seasoned veteran friends fly into battle. He's usually quick to act, but he's lost in thought, muttering to himself, Martial Mist. Martial Mist. I know that name. He thinks back to the pile of books in his study in the Mythanium. Would I know anything about Martial Mist? May I, like, make a history check or something?
You certainly can.
All right. Oh, that's a 2 on the die. I mean, I have a +7 to history, but that's only a 9.
No, you know, the name is familiar, and it's like that thing when it's sort of on the tip of your tongue, but you can't quite figure what it is. But with further thought, perhaps you'll be able to reveal something. From your side, you hear Grimm's voice, and he goes, Azarax, we need to act quickly. The anchor, whilst we can.
What? He looks up. Is that above us?
So it is that blue roiling ball thing that's on the plinth in the center of the room.
Absolutely. Do I have any idea how to interact with it? Does it look like it's similar to the dome that was outside, like the dome of time that we walked into? Is it similar to that?
No, it's actually a combination of all different types of energy by the looks of it. But you remember, your mind goes back to the Mythanium. Weaver saying that you should be able to interact with it with your spell glove.
The path is clear. Azarax's spider silk cloak unfurls. His breath slows. We hear him whisper an arcane word. Around his feet, a mist appears, a blue mist appears, and he shoots up into the air, flying towards this thing as I cast Fly on myself. Like, I imagine him just streaking through the air up towards this blue thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's sort of not massively high in the air, but you'll be able to sort of get a good look from on top of it. And you can see that this is a conduit that passes through all of the Nightmare Shrine. And you can see it connecting to all the different doors. And most importantly, the power that is keeping this thing intact. Is there anything else you can do before we go?
I think that's it. I mean, that took, a lot of thinking and an action. So I think, and movement. I think I'm done.
Perfect. We go back to the top of the round, and Marshal Mist sort of spins around, looking down upon you all, and says, "Oh, my friends, this does look like it would be a fight for the ages. But I cannot risk my freedom. Thankfully, I have friends." From the gateway behind him, you hear a rumbling as footsteps of many different types begin approaching from the gateway. Bursting forth from behind him are a number of what look to be silver guard, but their armor is gold. Golden guard. And they form up around him as he goes to make his attack, this time at Card. Gonna kick you while you're down. What's your AC?
17.
He connects once, misses the second time. That is 13 points of bludgeoning damage as he just takes one leaping bound and brings his massive iron fist just smashing against your defenses, hitting you once, missing you the second time. How do you block or miss the second attack?
He falls to his knee. It's actually the arrogant Marshal Mist, right? That's hitting me. He's this arrogant attacker, rather, is he's the reason that he missed the second time. As Card is struck with the first blow, he's brought down to his knees, and while stumbling to fall further to the ground, the second swipe misses almost accidentally.
Perfect. And he wheels back, readying to strike again. Marius.
Afraid. Interesting. You stood next to me. I struck you hard, and now you flee. I compel you to do that no more. I want to cast Compel Duel on him. He needs to make a Wisdom saving throw.
He shall certainly try. What's he got to make?
14.
He looks down at his feet as if they don't wish to move, and he says, "I have no wish to pass up the opportunity to kill you." As he succumbs to your power.
Excellent.
So I believe he has disadvantage against anyone that isn't you, correct?
Yes, and if he moves more than 30 feet away from me, he has to make a save.
Perfect. Is there anything else you can do with your turn?
That was a bonus action, so I will attack him twice. I rolled that in advance. I got a 20 and a 26.
Both connect.
Okay, that's 40 points of damage.
Oh, Jesus.
Smited on both.
Tell me how you take one of his arms off.
Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to tell you. So I compel him to fight me, and he's like almost locked in place. And I think he's like looking at Card, and he's like kind of over him. And Marius like sees this like one small gap in the armor, maybe, where you can see like purple mist floating through where the armpit is. He like flips the hammer around to the pointy end and just smashes it up into that armpit, and like grabs the arm and begins like wrenching this like spike into the joint of the arm, like pulling with everything he has until finally a cloud of mist and a roar of triumph from Marius.
There is a as you tear the armored arm from him, and this wave of purple mist just pours out of the side of him. as you dismember him. Taxes, it is your turn.
All right, so one, I went ahead and pre-rolled my moves. So one of them hit for a crit, and then one of them is probably going to miss. But either way, I see this happen. I see this strike. I see this lovely burst of purple fluid, and I realize now that, oh man, this creature can be killed. Right? It's not a matter of like, we can't beat this thing. If I can make it bleed, I can make it die, right? And there's a grin that comes over Tax's face. And you see him like charge from the other side of the, like, as they're kind of flanking, he goes and he slides around to sort of flank from the back, and you see him like try to dig both blades into this creature as he tries to begin to climb the back of this giant, right? As he does so, he misses his holding on one of the blades, and it sort of like slides just in front of the armor. The other one, though, is gonna crit. And I forget how you handle crits there, Rob. What are we doing?
So roll your dice twice. So whatever your damage would be, double the dice that you're rolling.
Okay.
And as usual, whack it in the chat when you've got the damage, and I'll add it.
Awesome, dude.
You muted, Rob.
Yeah. As Taxes smashes like a force of nature against martial mist, this plume of purple mist exploding from him. It is Card Kilgannon's turn. I'm going to ask you to make a Constitution saving throw, please, Card.
The purple mist passes over Card as he's laying on his back. And the Constitution saving throw, he got a total of a 9.
+4 from me.
He got a total of a 13.
Unfortunately, not quite enough. You are trying to pull yourself to your feet, but you can feel this blazing energy of Equinox coursing through your very veins at this point. And you are unable to act. Azarax, can you roll me a Arcana, please?
With advantage, I got a 19 Arcana.
Perfect. You are able to essentially get a intrinsic map within your mind as to how this thing is functioning. You begin to understand how the Nightmare Shrine is connected to this plane of reality. Perhaps it's information that will be able to help you in the future. But right now, battle is taking up a lot of your concentration as well. Your friends clashing against Martial Mist and soon to be these Golden Guard. You can hear Grimm's voice in your mind, and he says, "You can sense it, can't you, Azarax? You could bring this whole thing crashing down. We can stop them here."
But what about what's behind the portals? I mean, there's a chance those things would just spill forth into our reality. I guess there's no time to think.
Into other realities, not ours.
I'm sorry, Rob, can you say that again?
Into other realities, not ours.
Okay.
That's the choice.
I imagine looking around, it's almost like he can... I imagine it's like an arcane astrolabe with all of these portals. He can see almost like constellations connecting to different dimensions. He looks down and he sees the battle encroaching. He glances back. Can I tell where the nexus to the telling is?
Sorry. So, yeah, absolutely. You can see that one of the gateways is that familiar glowing gold.
And where is that gateway?
It is on the southern side. So where you're fighting Marshal Mist, imagine he's at the north. It's on the opposite side.
Gotcha. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like this would take up some time with the course of the battle, just thinking and musing and doing. Would this have taken my action? Do you think to do that?
I'll allow you to have done that as a bonus. So if you want to do something else, that's fine.
Absolutely. So I imagine like a streak of black and blue through the air with a with like a blue mist chemtrail behind him, like a fucking black manta ray. He flies down, swooping over the scene of the battle. Waving his wand to the side, we see this bubbling gray energy appear beneath the feet of the golden god as I cast grease underneath these motherfuckers. So that'll be a 10-foot cube. 10-foot square centered on the point. So he's going to try to do it in the center. Are they like lined up, formed up in battle formation?
Yeah, battle formation behind Marshal Mist. So absolutely. What do they have to make? What do they have to save against?
They have to make a DC 16 dexterity saving throw or fall prone.
All four of them collapse to the ground as they attempt to charge and slip on the grease and clatter to the floor. It is now Marshal Mist's turn. And first things first, he is going to go for Marius because he is compelled to do so. Marius, I would like you to make an athletics check, please.
Gladly. That is a 19.
Marshal Mist gets a nat 20. He, with his remaining arm, reaches down and just seizes you around basically the face and the throat. His hand is that big, and he just lifts you into the air, and he just hurls you. And he's hurling you towards the anchor. Marius, you take.
Rob, can I try to make a reflexive save to try to grab him, or no? Could taxes, since they're in the state of combat? No? Okay.
No. Marius, you take 21 points of force damage as you are smashed into the anchor. And there is a that echoes through the shrine. There is a rupture as if something seismic has happened. Marius, you hit the ground with a painful clatter. But it's your turn.
He is like lying on his back, and the wind has been knocked from him. But he's used to that. He's trained for it. He would roll onto his front so he can stand in his armor, and then begin running back towards Marshal Mist. Picking up speed, finally lifting the hammer into the air and leaping. I have pre-rolled again. I got a 19 and I got a 22.
Both connect.
Wonderful. Did not pre-roll damage, so I'll do that now if you like.
That's absolutely fine. And also, once you've given me my damage, once you've given me the damage, make a perception check, everyone, please. I forgot to ask you at the top of the round. Not the top of the round, sorry, just instantly.
47 points of damage.
Oh, Jesus.
Yep. And I'm out of spells. But yeah, he leaps in the hammer just and mid-air smashes it down with the first, and the second comes up.
Amazing. And he sort of staggers back and he smashes into. He actually staggers back and he collides with the dais that the anchor is upon. And there is another. What was your perception, Marius?
Oh, I haven't rolled it, sorry.
No, that's okay. Taxes, you have spotted this. Card, you're too busy being in pain. Azarax, you are focused on something else. Okay. So just taxes, you look up and you see that the anchor, severely damaged from being hit by Maris Hexenheim, has sent a reverberating pulse throughout the shrine. And some of the energy covering a number of the doorways flickers and dies. Some of them sealing, and some of them opening.
Like immediately, like dragon tenseness on the back of all my scales as soon as you say that, though.
Yeah. It is your turn, Taxes.
Yeah. He sees this. His eyes sort of dilate with the pulse as it happens. He wants to fight. He's trying to fight because he knows that like they need to do something. And he looks to Azarax.
If Grim would be of assistance right now, it'd be really nice to know what the hell I need to do. I don't know if you heard that, but I'm pretty sure I heard doors.
And Grim's voice echoes across to you, panicked. The telling. It's gone. You look across and you see that the Golden Gateway has sealed.
As this happens, like Taxes, he was already in a rage, but it's like he's kind of crestfallen, and he goes from being like making sense of stuff to just animalistic destruction. And I already pre-rolled like my attacks, and I mean, let's see, 24 to hit on the first one, and then a 36 to hit on the second one. So pretty sure he's going to hit for both of those.
Yeah, you would have.
Well, yeah, it was 18 plus 8. So I mean, what, 20? Is it 20, 26, right? 26. Never mind. Sorry, I did my math wrong.
What the hell?
I was
36.
I've been playing with Taxes for a while. Never before has he busted
20,
this.
20. No.
Yeah,
And then so for damage wise, the first one isn't that bad, but then the second one is. I'll type it in the chat. But
perfect.
Essentially, he's just like whirling dervish, just ripping through this martial mist because he effectively thinks kill the captain, stop whatever's fucking with this stuff, right?
Definitely. And you make attack, and you basically begin to wrench away at the armor upon this being a more purple mist is pouring from him. But unfortunately, martial mist no longer seems to be the biggest threat to your lives at this point. Card. Make a Constitution saving throw. And make it a good one.
Card moves to stand up. He goes to one knee. He rolls a natural 1, so I imagine he falls right back down. Actually, I have a point of inspiration. I have a point of inspiration from the very, very beginning. All right, cool. I'm going to spend my point of inspiration to gain advantage. And roll again. 8. Oh, plus 4 is 12. Oh.
It's not enough. You try and rise, and you fall back against the dais, the pillar in the middle of the room. The blue light upon your face, hiding the fact that you've become very pale. Azarax.
No. He's looking up at the this conduit. What's the blue ball called? I forgot, bruh.
The
The
anchor.
anchor.
The anchor, thank you so much. He's looking up at the anchor. He can see the tendrils of energy connecting to the different doors. I imagine he sees some of them sputtering now that it's been jostled. And he looks, I imagine that he envisions that it's sort of spun a little bit. And if he could jostle it back in place, it's a horrible idea, but it's all that we have. And we need that conduit to the telling. We need that door to reopen. And there's only one way to do it. So I imagine that as one of these other doors has opened up, a physical door has fallen down to the side, perhaps with iron bands on it. He drops down. He grabs it. He's not strong enough to hold it up, but he holds it as well as he can, and bam, he misty steps up 60 feet into the air above the anchor, and he's going to try to aim for the spot that will spin this motherfucker Fonzie from Happy Days style back into position.
You are able to do that, because what I'm going to propose now is something that's going to decide this matter. Azarax, I would like you to, or rather, Locris, I would like you to roll a d8 for me, please, and tell me the result.
1d8. I got that. Here we go. Come on, d8. That is a 7.
You are able to shift it in such a way that one of the doors reactivates. And you see before you that there is a gateway to a familiar place. It is not the telling. It is the material plane.
Holy shit. Where is the door in relationship to this battle?
Is opposite the battle, and you can see that the walls are starting to give way. The place is beginning to collapse. The anchor has been damaged and moved out of alignment. This place is going to phase and be destroyed.
There, now, he's pointing and shouting to our only hope, the only hope of getting out of there.
It becomes clear to you, Azarax, that if you're to leave the shrine, you will re-enter the normal time.
Yeah, I imagine that he knows that. His hand reflexively goes to the grimoire. God damn it, Grim. Is there any way to save him? What if we cut the wound, cut around the wound and pull it out? Would that work?
I don't know. The Golden Guard rise to their feet. They're going to try and get up to attack you. 16, is it? To get up in Greece. I believe it's saved.
No, they can. I'm sorry. No, they can stand. I apologize. I should have been more clear. That's a saving throw. They can stand up using half of their movement. I think they can just stand up using half of their movement.
Yeah, okay, but they're still going to have to make the save to walk through it to get to you anyway, aren't they?
No, I don't think they have to. I think it says when a creature when it appears, they must succeed on the saving throw, and when they enter the area, they must also. So I think they can exit for free, but it is difficult terrain, so it'll cost half their movement to stand up, and then extra movement to leave.
In that case, then, I will say that only 2 of them are able to make any attacks against you. One is going to go for taxes, the other's going to go for Marius. Taxes, that is a hit, and you're going to sustain 10 points of damage. Marius, you are able to deflect the attack. Tell me how you do so.
He's fighting this mist thing. The Golden Guard to Marius are not a problem. He feels arrogant and confident. There's not many mortal soldiers who can hassle him, and so he sees this like clumsy blow coming, and he like raises the shield just in time.
Amazing. Taxes, it's your turn.
Okay. Almost like a caged animal, he begins to like look around in every direction. You know, look around. He's trying to keep an eye on Card, seeing him. You know, like visually keeping an eye on Card, keeping an eye on Marius, keeping an eye on Azarex, while simultaneously trying to fight. And then he stops fighting. He stops for a minute. He sees that doorway, and he looks up as he's like, I imagine he's actually clinging onto the back of this giant martial mist, right? And as he looks up, he looks to Azarex, and he looks at the doorway, and then he looks to like basically the carnage that's currently going on. And even in his rage, it clicks in his head that like something has to be done. Like the fighting that currently is happening right now is not doing us any good. We are just sustaining wounds, and we are sustaining things. So his survivalist instincts kick in. And I imagine that he's not going to like retreat from battle. Obviously not. But I would like to see if he can find a way to survive this situation. What would you want me to do, Rob, to sort of get a survivalist's edge over, like, and kind of figure out what needs to be done in this battle situation for us to like get a one-up on?
The truth of the matter is, and I know with different planes of existence and all that kind of thing, it is it is complicated. It is a weird idea. But essentially, the fact of the matter is that you have succeeded in what you wanted to do. The anchor has been realigned in such a way that it can no longer exist in this plane of existence. It is going to be destroyed and phase. And you know you haven't got long before that's going to happen. There is a problem. If the shrine remains, it can be left to fall into other people's hands.
Right. And I think that does cross Taxus's mind. And as he's hanging there on the back of this creature, like basically riding it like a bucking bronco, he looks to Azarex and he calls up,
"What do we do? Tell me and I'll do it."
As he's like trying to fend off blows and fend off fighting, he's like parrying off the Golden Guard below while also trying to continually stab into this other creature, you know, into Martial Mist, with another hand, like just jabbing from one side. So, like, I think he's looking for a way out of combat, but like he just wants to get an answer of what should he do in this situation.
We need to go. I don't know what else to do. You can tell that Azarax is frantic. You can hear the fear in his voice, the chaos of battle going on around him, and he is just of no help, unfortunately.
I think
Yeah,
maybe Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Texas.
Oh no. Like and at that point, seeing like the one person he sort of relies on for like this interspecies like understanding of one another, not giving him an answer that he like kind of usually gets from a guy like Azarax, he starts to feel that like just thumping, thudding, beating of his heartbeat just start to continually pound like that drum, and that rage start to build, for that frustration start to grow. And then he looks, I imagine, to Card, because it looks like you were going to say something, and I'll go ahead and allow you to sort of say that before he kind of maybe goes overboard and does something that maybe he's going to regret.
Well, and that's the thing is everyone's being frantic. Taxes, that's nothing that you're a stranger to. That's part of your main method, but Azarax beginning to lose it. In the midst of the storm, you hear a very calm voice. And Card says, "Go." And he looks to the gate, and you mentioned, Rob, you said it was closing?
The shrine is collapsing. You don't know how long it'll stay open.
Yep. Card puts down, no. Oh, man. Can I just go for it?
Go for it.
Card is in a moment here in the shrine, and everything looks yellow. It's inside of him now. Everywhere. It's not only a matter of time for the shrine, he feels like it's a matter of time before himself goes. He looks to Taxes, and all of a sudden he's in the trees. All of a sudden he's back in Kilgannon. The calm before the battle, and the city is whole, and he looks to the left and he sees Taxes, and Taxes kind of maybe smiles at him, and he smiles back, and they just kind of wait for the ambush to strike. He looks to Azarax, and all of a sudden he's in the city of the Drow. All of a sudden he's standing side by side, fighting against spider queens and wretched things. Azarax has a journal shoved into his chest. A blank journal. Card says, "Kick it off with something good." Marius, if you're somewhere nearby, I imagine you would have the great sword of Dom Kilgannon flying towards you. And he pulls out two scimitars, the two scimitars on his hips. And he looks at you, Marius, and all of a sudden, he's back side by side, facing down a hydra. And there you are, saving his life. He thinks, like father, like son. He grips his scimitars, and he faces the mass of enemies. And he's going to position himself in a place where he can get between the enemies and his friends to try to buy them time so they can leave while the place collapses. He knows that if he leaves into the material plane, he's gone. He's going to just disintegrate. It's back to normal time, and he's gone. Or he can stay here and make a difference slowly. But he can't think of anything else to do. So that's what he does. And he says it one more time as he faces down the enemies with his friends to his back. He says, "Go."
Azarax, it's your turn.
Clutching this empty journal, he sees an unparalleled bravery. He's seen some amazing things. But seeing this profound act of selflessness invigorates him. That's what it means to be a fucking lorekeeper. He says it out loud. That's what it means to be a fucking lorekeeper. He runs side by side with Card Kilgannon. He spins, his form spins in front of him. You son of a bitch. You're not leaving today. You have more tales to tell, you fucking asshole. I'm sorry. We see Ice Pick grip. We see his steel wand appear in his hand. As he does so, it's like his form unfolds twice and then twice again as three other images of Azarax appear and turn to face the golden god as I cast mirror image on myself, grabbing Card Kilgannon by the lapel, seeing this roiling wound, the wand, the steel wand, from it issues a blue laser-like beam of fire. I'm sorry, as he plunges it in and carves out the wound out of Card Kilgannon's chest.
And as rubble is falling around you, Card, you sink to your knees.
The stare that Azarax you see right in your eyes is one of pain and one of anger. He grabs you. Rob, is it inside? Is it gone? Like, if he carves it out, is it gone? Does it work? You said it was in my veins. You said it was in my veins, and that's to me what I was like.
You look and you see, and as much as Azarax has tried, it's still there. I said, yeah, it's in your veins. I can't, yeah.
Card looks to the mirror images of Azarax. He's not entirely sure which one is him now, maybe. No. But what he sees is he might not be able to hold off the Golden Guard by himself, but with all of these illusions, with all of these Azaraxes, he feels like the distraction could help. Azarax, he'll grab you by the scruff and he'll say it again. Go. As in the meta, I'm not sure. Yeah. Do you got any like prestidigitation you can throw in here, Locrius? Like you're pretty good at pulling spell descriptions out of your ass. Maybe we can.
I imagine that Card sees his own reflection reflected back in the visor of Veritor, and I think he would see tears appear, dripping down from beneath it. I mean, and I also think that that's the end of his round. I don't think that I could do anything else. I think he's standing there with his back to the Golden Guard. I mean,
You see a resolution in Card's face. And as much as you have tried, but with your mirror image, he doesn't have to die alone. More rubble is falling around you.
As we close out here, Azarax was trying to pull something out of Card. Can he have gotten something? Like, can it maybe like a because time moves so slowly here, maybe there's like an essence of the energy that he can take and keep even outside of the material plane to use against Equinox, or maybe, I don't know, just something that he can take from it.
I imagine that reaching his hand back, he looks down. If I may, Barker, if this is cool with you, I imagine that it's a little broken piece of obsidian that appears in his hand. The shard of Equinox's mask.
Yep, you bastard.
I think he would put his hand on your chest and he would say, Show them what a fucking Lorekeeper can do. And with a quivering lip, I think Azarax would retreat.
Back to the top of the round, Marshal Mist roils up behind you and says, yes, let us see what a Lorekeeper can do. He is going to attempt to swing at Azarax at disadvantage. Disadvantage because of Marius's thing.
So, Rob, this is the first time I've used the mirror image spell. If someone targets me, when they first do it, they got to roll a d20 to see if they hit me or one of my images.
Okay, so I just tell you what I get on the result?
Yes.
Is it his attack or just the number you need?
So before you roll, when you roll the attack roll, you also roll another d20 to determine who it hits.
Okay.
So I have 3 duplicates.
I rolled 2 18s, one for the attack, which will total as a 24 to hit, and an 18 for whichever one it is.
Okay, so it will hit one of my duplicates, and the duplicates have an AC of 13, I believe. 13.
Oh, with disadvantage, you're right, Lord. So that's actually going to miss.
Jesus, okay.
So he basically makes like a sweeping gesture to try and smash at you, but he's missing his arm. Like, he's clearly badly damaged at this point, but a looming presence menacing down upon you regardless. Marius, you've seen this scene unfold in front of you. What are you thinking? What are you going to do?
He thinks about how close it was to being him that was hit with that bolt, and so they entered this place. It was inches from him, went past him and hit Card, but it could have been him. The sword kind of like travels through the air, and he would like reach up and grab it, drop his hammer onto the ground for a moment, and he would like wrap his fists around the hilt, and he's going to take 2 big swings at this missed marshal. I have done that, and it was a 20 and a 21 to hit, which I think are both good. So it's 14 for the first, and 7 for the second.
Tell me how you destroy Marshal Mist.
Oh, thank God. So there's that gap obviously where the arm is not there. You can't stab someone with a hammer, no matter how hard you try. But he has this long blade now, and with both hands he inverts it, and he just like shoves it into the gap in the armor where the arm once was, and basically just like moves it up and down all over the place. And there's just this horrible sort of like grating noise as like the sword scrapes the inside of the armor and like damages that mist, until finally he like pulls it out and holds it triumphantly.
And as you drive the blade of Kilgannon into him, he staggers back, and you just see this purple mists pour from the armor and fall back away into the gateway. You see the armor totter for a second and then fall forward and smashes onto the ground at your feet. Sorry, go ahead.
He like looks at Card. There's not really any time for like a lengthy goodbye. So he just like looks at him, and it's an expression that says, "I would be there if it was me." And there's like overwhelming respect in that look. And he would like nod and then turn.
Go easy on Weaver, he says with a cough.
We're out of initiative because I would explain the Golden Guard fall back through the gateway. But the unmistakable sound of more of them approaching can be heard.
Card Kilgannon grips both scimitars and stands ready for the onslaught of new Golden Guard, or the collapse of the shrine, or this time paradox in multidimensional warp. He is, I mean, whatever comes, let it come. Let it come.
You all have 1 moment to say one thing. Taxes, you go first.
Hey, taxes. Taxes and Card, for the shorter period of time that they have known each other, I think that Taxes and Card are probably the most similar of each other. They are like wilderness bros. They are the survivalists of the group. And even though he is just a human, and he is not a dragon, he is not a drow, he is not something different, but god damn it, he's a brother. And again, that thudding, pounding, resounding sound fills his chest. And there's like this look. It's not even a word. It's not even a thing. It's just this look that he gives the Card as he like peels himself off of this marshal's husk. And then you feel his body rise again, rise above. You see that rage build in his eyes, and the black pupils dilate. And he gives him a nod. And as the fire begins to billow and bellow in his gut,
you give him hell for me, brother. You do that, you make the Lorekeepers proud.
and as the wings begin to like envelop, and he uses his Lorekeeper ability, and he flies up, and he's getting ready to fly out into the material plane, you just see this wall of fire come up against the gateway where the Golden Guard would be, sort of giving him an opportunity to just wreak havoc, and anything that will come through that wall will now be set on fire before it reaches Card Kilgannon. And that is my last will and testament to you, my brother, as I sort of fly off toward that material plane door.
Azrax.
I think most of what Azrax would be able to say has already been said. But in that last brief moment, he'd look at Card Kilgannon, his friend. Doesn't have many of them. He'd say, I'm sorry I stabbed you. You can see he has the look of a man holding back tears. So he tries to make a joke.
Bart smiles and gives an assuring nod.
Your father would be proud. He flies off.
Marius.
When my trial comes, I will approach it with unflinching honesty and a joyful heart. Die well.
You as well, brother.
On Card, you watch as your friends rush to the doorway, and they are gone.
And do I see them out there, but still, and very, very slow, kind of like we did when we entered? Is it kind of like, do I see that time shift?
Yeah, you do.
So I see their backs as they're kind of walking out, and just the a silent farewell, whatever you can do inside of a moment. Whatever you can think inside of an instant. And he struggles to conjure all the memories he can of these guys, of these companions of his, as he turns back around to face the onslaught and the collapsing shrine. Do you want to tell me how this goes, or do you want me to just go nuts?
We're going to do it, man. We're going to do it. This is your last stand, man. So we're just going to talk it through. You turn around and you see, coming out of the doorway, there are a number of golden guards, halberds in their hands and malice in their eyes. And it looks like they're going to do their best to try and get to that anchor to stop this from happening, to stop this from going up. Card, it is your last act, is to stop them from doing that. Tell me how you do it.
He sees the fires of his father's funeral pyre, and the fires burning through Kilgannon. And now he sees the fires of Taxes the Dragonborn. And he plunges himself through the fire upon his enemy, swinging scimitars, slashing left to right, up and down a whirlwind of blades. He sees their faces, and he sees Lyra. And he's not entirely sure how he ends up doing it. He's not entirely sure how he stops them from getting to the anchor, to the nexus point here. how he prevents them from stopping the Lorekeepers in the midst of their tracks. If I can just narrate him doing that, Rob. But he,
Yep.
all of a sudden, the fires of taxes the Dragonborn as if it's as if they consume him in golden flame. And then he sees the fire of a soft, warm hearth. And he's in a tavern. He enters in this tavern and he sees the hearth in the corner. And he looks to the table where he knows Lyra is. But she's not there. Instead, there's a crowd of faceless and an empty chair. And he moves over to it and he sits down because he feels like he should. He couldn't come back alive. He smells a certain musk that hadn't caught his scent for many, many years. And the chair to his left scrapes the floor as it's pulled out. And he recognizes the calloused hands of his father as they rest themselves on the table. And he hears his father's voice as he says, "I'll keep you company until she arrives." And I think that's it.
Taxes, Azarax, Marius. You emerge upon a mountainside. And you can see across all of Farwyde from where you stand. You have emerged on a peak that overlooks the shrine. And you watch as the structure collapses. Smashing into dust. And then, as the tower begins to collapse, falling, smashing through the bridge that you once crossed, it is enveloped by the energy that surrounds it. And a cataclysmic explosion rocks the landscape. You can barely look at it, it's so bright. And then the Nightmare Shrine is gone. And so's your friend. The shockwave sends a ripple across the landscape. And the ground gives way, the snow beneath your feet, tumbling, falling amidst the snow. You are all carried over rocks and ditches, pulled down the mountainside by the avalanche caused by the explosion. And then you feel weightlessness as if the ground beneath you has vanished. You are falling, but not for long. You all land painfully. And then you see nothing at all. And that is where we're going to leave our heroes tonight. So, fuck.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. No, really, thank you for not just, this game, but every session leading up until now. It's always been it's yeah, that was awesome.
That was amazing. That was great.
That was probably the best death that I've ever seen in an RPG, man. In a tabletop game. I'm an old man. I've played a lot of games, but I think that was my favorite, man. Like, that's
like I honestly think that like when we were walking, like when we were getting out of there, right? I imagine that like Taxes is fighting, kicking, and screaming. Like they go through the fucking door, and he's just like on the other end, just like clawing at the flipping like miasma of just everything, trying to get back to you, but he knows that it's like pointless at that point.
I knew when Rob said it was in my veins, I was like, I'm done. And then when I realized it, if we can be jubilant about this, I realized it when the door to the material plane opened, and for a moment I was like, dope, we're getting out of here. And then immediately I was like, oh no, like no, I can't get out of here.
I made you roll for whether it would open into the telling or the material plane. The telling would have saved you. Like with you being pulled in, there was potential that you could have been saved, but it came up material plane, and I was like,
well, and you guys love just tossing your friends into the telling, dude. You have no problem cryo freezing your buds, no questions asked.
Wait a minute, I killed Card with that D8 roll? God damn it.
now Lucas feels like even more of a shit. He's like,
that's it. I wanted there to be that it was gonna
more part of that phrase. Even more.
I have to applaud the sheer ballsiness of including a save or die effect in like the 10th session of a campaign.
Yep.
Look, I've said from the get-go that Equinox uses the disintegration spell. And I knew that it would be going through the time thing, so you would have time. But yeah, that's it. Yep. So I have a suggestion, and I want to do something I've not done with Lorekeepers before. And if you don't mind, Barker, we just do a bit of a I guess a prelude to the next one, but an epilogue to this one as well, if you don't mind. Just because there's something that I feel needs to be covered. Is that okay?
Yeah. Are you asking for another session from me?
No, not right. No, not right now. I mean,
I know. Well, the answer is yes. Are you bringing my character back to life?
Right,
that'd be great.
No, sadly not. We're just gonna do like 10 minutes, okay, guys? For me to bring up something. So
you turn into the vision from like we cryotube your body and you turn into the vision.
No, okay. You don't know how long it's been. You don't know how long it has passed, but Taxes, you open your eyes. You see that before you is a silver dragon skull. You look to your right and you see upon the cave that the three of you had fallen into, all around the walls there are scorch marks. And there is a message written in blood. Death and taxes. It's almost like a dream. At least it would be a dream if Azarax and Marius couldn't see this too. But they can. The vast dragon skull, like a statue, opens its jaws. It's almost like it's raining blood across you all. You look at your hands and it's pooling in your palm. It's like you are being beckoned inside. And in a dreamlike state, you all find yourselves walking into the darkness of a cave that opens behind where these jaws open. You walk for what seems like an eternity along the banks of a midnight black river. And then you see a landscape silhouetted by 3 moons that hang in the sky. This is your world, but it feels different. Something has changed. You look before you and you see on the banks of the river there are a number of figures approaching through a thin veil of mist. They are dragonborn, but larger. Another appears, and then another. And then wings spread from their backs. A blanket of mist is surrounding you and is above you. And you hear words echoing across the landscape. Norixia. You are our anchor. We see the silver dragon's skull. That blood is still raining down. Covering this statue. The dragon isn't silver anymore. It's red. And I suppose that is where we're actually going to leave our heroes tonight. So, thank you ever so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching live and after the fact. We're going to do what we always do. We're going to end with a moment of the game, I guess. But I'm pretty sure what most people would be. We'll start with Chad.
Okay, just like, whew, man, roller coaster. Jesus. Yeah, no. My name is Chad. This game was nuts. I'm pretty sure you guys know, like, my favorite moment of the game at all was that baller death scene. Barker, I don't think I've ever seen anybody die like you. I'm not gonna lie. Like you've had a lot of characters die. I've watched a lot of your characters die, and for some reason, every time you die, it's baller. But yeah, no, guys, I think this is the most emotional I've been in a campaign before. So, thanks, Rob, for killing all my friends off. I mean, like, you know, Raylan, Card, like, I don't care. Like, just like throw people into places, whatever. Just do it. Fine. I love you guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Chad. Well played tonight. Yeah, it would seem the cursed fourth spot. No, Chris.
God damn, that was a great game. It was a great game. I mean, obviously that death scene is just like probably the most poignant moment in the campaign. Like, it was unbelievable. So good. And I was like, we're gonna play the Lorekeepers. Last episode was pretty heavy. This would probably be a little bit lighter, but nope. But Barker, I need to ask you this because, I mean, I don't know. Card's dead. I don't know if you're gonna be around any longer. So I know that we're finishing the game, but I gotta ask you this: is there any chance that Card, at some point in Kilgannon, unbeknownst to the rest of the Lorekeepers, did the nasty with Lyra? Because I feel like the Kilgannon legacy should live on, and I imagine I'm just gonna do here's what we're gonna do. We did an epilogue. I'm gonna do the epilogue to the epilogue. We see Azarax. He's got the journal that Card gave him, and etched in immaculate flowery script on the cover. Other words, the legend of Card Kilgannon. And I imagine we see it age over time, and at some point hand someone, Azarax, perhaps someone else, if he might die, who knows what the fuck's gonna happen. But I imagine this book, years and years and years down the line, being passed to a child, a boy or a girl of Cards. What do you think about that?
I think that sounds awesome. I think that's totally up to you guys, because I don't know. We're like Rob and I we're bantering about reasons why Card would be named Card. And Dom is his dad, and we were like, maybe that's short for Domino, and maybe these are all like game pieces, and so maybe he's an orphan. Like, you can really go in every direction with it. Like, maybe he's not really his son, something like that. And so I don't know. I like the idea. I like all those ideas too, for sure. It's up to you, man. It's your book.
Well, I mean, Azarax is going to ask Weaver. Weaver knows Card more than anyone else, so I figured that, over time, he wants to get that legend down. And I just imagine it handing over. I just love that. That's one of the things I loved about Card, was his strong connection to his father and the legacy of the Lorekeepers. And I would like to see that continue on in the world. I think that would be a cool thing. I loved this game. I'm done talking. You guys are all awesome.
Lloyd.
It's really good. Not a few words, I guess. It's really good. I enjoyed it. Heavy. Yep. Well done.
Yep. Okay. And finally, last but of course not least, Barker.
This has been a really cool campaign, and you remember when Return of the King won a whole bunch of Academy Awards, and it was like didn't it tie Ben-Hur, like something like Titanic or like some amazing film? But it wasn't really the Return of the King that did that. I feel like it was the Lord of the Rings. It wrapped up, and everyone was like, all right, let's pay the Lord of the Rings what we owe them for these 3 amazing films. And I feel like I feel that way about all of the Lorekeeper games. I feel like it's been I feel like when it started, it was me filling a slot because of a scheduling issue. And I told Rob, I said, all right, 3 sessions, I'm in, and then, whatever. And then that quickly said, I was like, all right, Rob, 5 sessions, and that's it. And I don't know how many it's been, but it's been more than 5. I think, right? It's been more than 5. And
Yeah, you came in at 4, and it's now, this one is 11. So yeah,
that's yes, 7. What a good number. It's been a blast to me. It's been, it's turned into one of my favorite campaigns. It's not just a slot filler anymore. I love playing with Lloyd any chance I get. It doesn't matter what the situation is or what the scenario is. We're like it. There's this banter that exists that I feel like between us that works really well. Locrius, you're a damn Genghis Christmas with your friggin' improvisational plot hooks and amazing spells. I mean, I'm not even sure if you look at your character sheet, but you know D&D so well that you know how to just pull everything off. It's amazing. And Chad, dude, I hate Dragonborn, but now I don't. Like you're a blast to play with, and I will always remember the battle and Card and Taxes duking it out side by side in a graveyard is one of my favorite scenes in a campaign. And so this has been awesome. I always kind of knew it was on the table, like at some point. I'm happy that it was based on a roll. I rolled a 6 for the saving throw, and forgot about my point of inspiration. I probably could have used. So, but I used it later to succeed at saving my friends. So I've truly got nothing else. I'm that guy where everyone else in Planetoid's like, Barker, shut the hell up. You're talking too much between songs. Let's hit the next track. And so session 12 is that next track, guys. Session 12 is the number of success and reaping good harvest after a long year. So you guys have earned it, and I cannot wait to see what happens.
Neither can I. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say that. But yeah, on to more games. This is not the end. This is only the beginning. So that leaves me only to say thank you ever so much to my wonderful players. Thank you to all those who watch live and after the fact. And I hope that all of your performances are up to standard. Take it easy, guys.